Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chris from inkFrog. This is our February 2019 live webinar. I'm just going to give it a minute or two for everyone else to come in, so just sit tight. We'll be live in a few minutes. Let's give it one more minute, and then we'll get this show going. All right. So I hope everyone's having an awesome day. We're going to get going now, and I'm sure more people will be trickling in. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel, usually about 20 minutes after it finishes, and you can play it back there. You can also email us if you missed it, or if you want to see the recording and can't find the link, we'll be happy to send that to you. So over the next 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, depending on how quickly things go, I'm going to be covering a bunch of things. So this is what we're covering today. I'm going to do a quick introduction about inkFrog in general, who I am, and what to expect on this webinar. And then I'm going to cover a couple policies and programs with eBay specifically that you may or may not know about. Some of these are pretty common, some of them not so much. It's just so you're aware, because these actually can have a pretty big impact on your listings and your rankings and your sales on eBay. Then we're going to talk about understanding the customer journey on eBay. It's important to know this because it's what you actually can influence and control to get more sales on eBay. And then we'll talk about some best practices. I'll give you a few examples of some good listings and bad listings that I've seen. We'll build a listing together, and then there should be some time at the end for some questions and answers. So a little bit of background about inkFrog. It's the longest running eBay listing tool. It's been in business for almost 20 years at this point. It was created to make selling on eBay easier. If you've been selling on eBay for more than 5 minutes, you probably know that it's not a very intuitive platform. The interface can be a challenge to work with. It sometimes takes a bunch of clicks to get things done. So inkFrog was created to eliminate that. It makes it a lot faster and easier to do everything on eBay. We are consistently evolving and adding new features. We've added several new features over the last year. We have a whole bunch of new features coming out over the next several months, which we're getting really excited about. We also do actively listen to every feedback customers send us. The management team is directly involved in that. We have several ways that we solicit feedback, whether it's directly from customers or through surveys. If somebody leaves inkFrog, we ask them why they left, and we try and use that information to create a better experience for everyone. At this point in time, over 200,000 people have used inkFrog, and we manage over 50 million listings on eBay. We also have a Shopify app, which if you search on the Shopify App Store, it's just called inkFrog. There are thousands and thousands of people using that every day now to connect their Shopify store to eBay. So you can create eBay listings with your Shopify inventory, and if something sells on eBay, we can push the order back to your Shopify store. We have the same setup with BigCommerce. We are the official eBay sales channel for BigCommerce. So if you go into your BigCommerce store and click on the sales channel button, you'll see eBay by inkFrog there. The core features of inkFrog, they're listed on the right side of my screen. So we have our lister tool, which is what inkFrog was originally created for. You can basically list items for sale on eBay about 10 times faster than you could doing it natively in eBay's app. We create a permanent repository of your listings. So instead of having your listings or your images vanish, which happens if you are using eBay only, eBay will delete that information after 30 to 60 days. We keep a permanent repository of all that. So if you have sold a product and 2 years later you want to try and sell it again, we store that information in our database permanently for you. We also have our store connector. What that does is it lets you connect to Shopify, BigCommerce, and or Amazon. If you sell on any of these platforms, we can connect to those places, download your inventory, and create eBay listings within a few minutes. And if an order comes in on any of those three platforms or eBay, we could push it back to the source platform for you. If you happen to be an Amazon seller specifically and you use Fulfilled by Amazon, we can even automatically create fulfillment orders so Amazon will ship to your eBay customers. We do support CSV imports. This is a big feature a lot of people use for drop shippers or suppliers or wholesalers. You can upload a CSV file into your inkFrog account and create eBay listings from it. We have our designer tool, which is a professional eBay listing template system. We create really nice looking templates, and you can see a big increase in your sales when you use them. We have a shipping and insurance integration with a company called ShipSaver. We have our eBay Analytics platform, which launched about a month ago. It actually went live basically right when I did this webinar last month, and that lets you kind of mine eBay for interesting data such as who's selling what, how much they're selling. You could see what their listings are, how many units they've sold at what price points, things like that. You could track your rankings of your listings over time. So if you're trying to get onto page one for specific search terms on eBay, we can actually track that. And then you make modifications to your listings over time, and you can actually see what that change did over the next week or so in terms of where you rank on eBay. And we also have an automatic feedback tool. So if you sell an item on eBay, once the item has been paid for by the customer, we can automatically leave feedback on your behalf for that customer. That's available to our unlimited and designer subscribers. So for me personally, my title with inkFrog is Product Marketing Manager. Basically what that means is that I tie into a whole bunch of different things related to inkFrog Open, which is our main product. So I work with all of our teams surrounding product development, the user experience. I manage the live chat. So if you've ever jumped into the live chat on inkFrog, about 90% of the time it's me that you've been talking to. I also work closely with our customer care team. I manage the designer program. So if you've signed up for the designer platform, you've probably been talking to me at some point. And I also oversee the marketing and advertising for inkFrog. So quite a few things I do. I'm also very reachable. If you ever want to talk to me, this is my email address. It's clittle@inkfrog.com. I will respond to you. It may take a day or two sometimes, but I do respond to every email I get. A bit of information about me outside of inkFrog. I am based out of Vancouver, Canada. I have a wife and 3 daughters, ages 13, 9, and 4. I have a whole bunch of geeky hobbies. I grew up as a computer geek, and that's not a big surprise. I have a master's of business administration degree and a bachelor's degree. I have 15 years experience in e-commerce, and I used to be a 6-figure Amazon/eBay seller. So it kind of goes hand in hand that I can work with inkFrog on these projects, and I love doing it. So the goal of this webinar today, kind of focus on 3 areas, all about optimizing your listing so you can get more sales on eBay. So the first thing we want to focus on is eBay seller updates and policies that can affect you. eBay has this habit of releasing policies or updates, and it can cause quite an interesting effect on people depending on what they've done. I want to show you some examples and best practices of what can make a listing sell really well and what can make it not sell. And then we'll build a listing together just so you can see kind of a process that I used when I was selling on eBay before. So a couple eBay policies that I want to go over. eBay has quarterly seller updates that they call them. It's almost every quarter they come out, and these are huge updates. They release things that can have major impacts on your account, so it's always important to stay on top of these. They just released one yesterday, actually, which I'm going to talk about briefly. I'm going to go over the last 4 as well, just so you know what was going on. It's very important to stay in front of these when they come out. It's usually at the end or close to the end of every physical quarter. So we have the March update, which came out yesterday. They said that they're going to release a bigger one in April, and then we probably will see one going into the summertime around June. You can see all of these seller updates on this link. And here are the last couple of updates. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly so we can get to other topics here. So in fall 2017, they basically forbid you from putting any kind of contact information in your listings. And they also said you're not allowed to put watermarks on your photos anymore. Anyone who's caught doing either of these can actually lead to suspensions or permanent bannings from eBay. So make sure you're not doing those. In spring of 2018, they released their product-based shopping experience. What this did was that you had, first of all, you're required to put UPC codes or GSIN IDs onto your listings. And it also adds kind of related products above your listings now when people click onto the item details page. Kind of an interesting way of doing that, but I think it's kind of helping eBay cross-sell things from one account to another. They get to show you other products related to what you're shopping for. So it's a neat idea. I think it did upset some sellers because it was suddenly showing some competitor products on their listings, but eBay is still tweaking it. This was also when they released the simplified returns update. What this did was that eBay was trying to make it easier and faster for people to generate returns. This was just the first pass of it. It was a pretty minor push. And then in summer of 2018, so that would be about 6 months ago, this was all about simplified returns. The basic idea here was that eBay wanted you to offer 30-day return policies if you accept returns. So very few categories these days will allow 14-day returns. There's only, I think, 7 or 8 categories left that allow them. And eBay is now actually saying that they're trying to push people towards 60-day return policies. So it may be something that they're going to be pushing in the future is changing that 30 to 60 days. So that's something to be aware of. If you plan to accept returns, it's minimum 30 days for almost everything now. In the fall, about 4 months ago, we had the service metrics policy update. This didn't have a huge impact on listings specifically. Rather, they provided a lot of back-end information. So they beefed up a lot of the seller reports. You can actually see item not received and item not as described metrics in your seller account now. Before, that was kind of obfuscated behind a more general policy. So they've broken out some of these details. There's a few other ones that they made available. So it was a good update. It was a little bit smaller than the previous ones. It didn't have as big as an impact, but it did give you a bit more transparency into your account reporting, which was nice. Yesterday, eBay released an update, which they have called the Early Seller Update. It literally went out yesterday evening, so less than 24 hours ago. There are a couple things going into this update. The big one that I saw was they're now adding this new feature called Offer to Buyers. It's not really clear exactly how this is going to work, but right now on your eBay listings, you have the ability to say or best offer. So if somebody comes to your listing, they can say, well, you're selling this for $35, but I'll pay you $25 as an offer, and you can accept or reject it. I suspect that this is kind of working in the reverse, where it looks like if somebody has expressed interest in your product or something similar to it, you've got an ability now to offer your products possibly at a discount. We're not quite sure exactly. This just hit yesterday. It will be done directly in your eBay account, just like all the other marketing tools that eBay offers, because it's not something that we can connect to through the API, but this is something that just rolled out. A couple of resources for staying informed with eBay on what is going on. So the first is the eBay seller updates page. If you Google for eBay seller updates, or if you just type in this URL, this is the index page for where your eBay publishes all of them every quarter. So that's the best place to go. inkFrog also has a blog where we try and keep updated. Sometimes we're a few days behind on big news breaking, like the seller update that hit yesterday, because our team has to review it and analyze and make sure that we can make sense out of it so we can tell you what's going on with it. And then there's 3 other sites that I do recommend personally. One is esellercafe.com. They are a news portal for e-commerce. They've been really good at staying on top of a lot of updates. It's not specifically eBay related, but they do have content on eBay. They talk about inkFrog on there sometimes and some of our competitors or other companies in this business. Dana Crawford is another big eBay seller. She has recently been in talks with us. She published a blog post on our website a while ago. We're working with her, and I do recommend you take a look at her site when you have the chance. And scavengerlife.com is another company that we work with, and they do a lot of podcasts on how to sell on eBay, and they have a really great service running there for people that are trying to learn it all. I'm going to quickly go over 4 special programs with eBay. These are available to pretty much every seller as long as you meet the requirements, and you'll get enrolled in them automatically as long as you meet the requirements. You've probably heard of most of these, but they may not be clear what the benefit is or how to get into them. First is the Verified Rights Owner Program, or VERO. What this does is if you have a registered trademark, it lets you kind of identify yourself as the brand owner with eBay. And this gets a little confusing on exactly what that means. So I've tried to simplify this down. What it means is that you can protect your content and your photos and your logo on eBay. It does not mean that you can block somebody from selling your products, but if you could prove that they are selling a counterfeit or a replica or a knockoff, then you can file a complaint with eBay and get them banned. But if somebody, say, went to a retail store and bought your private label brand product because they carry it there, and then they sell it on eBay, you can't stop them. But this will let you stop basically counterfeiters. It's also a good way of having a better relationship with eBay if you're plugged into this, but it does require a registered trademark, usually with the USPTO. The next program is the Global Shipping Program. I highly recommend you use this if you're not using it already. What it does is if you are in the United States and selling products and you're only shipping within the United States, you can activate this program in your eBay account, and anytime you list a product, it will now be available all over the world to people. And if somebody from an international location, say Germany, wants to buy your product, but you don't want to ship all the way there, you actually just ship it to a local eBay warehouse, and eBay will forward the package to the customer in Germany. The customer is responsible for the duties and the taxes and the extra shipping. You are not on the hook for that. You just have to get it to the eBay warehouse. eBay handles everything else from there. It's a really good way to expand your sales reach. You get a lot more customers because suddenly your products, if you were previously only selling in the States, you can now sell worldwide across the entire eBay network. Doesn't cost anything to join. As soon as you turn it on in your eBay account, you can enable it in your inkFrog listings. It's just a little check mark that appears. It works great. The Power Seller program with eBay, what this does is it puts a special badge next to your username, and the badge changes depending on how strong of a power seller you are. There's like 6 or 7 levels. The main benefit to being a power seller is you get access to a special power seller support team as opposed to the usual care team. So you get a little bit more access with eBay. The people on the power seller support team tend to be more versed and more flexible in what they're willing and not willing to do for you. So being a power seller, it basically gives you a stronger relationship with eBay directly. To become a power seller, you need to have 100 sold listings with a 98% positive feedback rating, and it will automatically happen on your account. It's a great program. It's not a huge financial or sales benefit to you. It just means that you've got a better relationship with eBay than other sellers do. On the flip side of this is the top rated seller program. What this does is eBay actually endorses your listings saying that you are a safe and reputable seller. That's a really big deal. It'll get you more sales. And as a bonus, if you are in this program, eBay gives you a discount of 10% off the final value fees on it, on all of your listings. So if you are selling $20,000 worth of product a month and eBay's final value fees of that are $3,000, well, you suddenly just chopped off about $300 off of that. So it does make a nice dent in your eBay bill when you start selling a lot. To become a top-rated seller, you have to have 100 on-time deliveries worth over $1,000 over 12 months. It's not that hard to do, just takes a little time, and it's a great program. Here's an example of what it looks like to be a top-rated seller. So in the top photo, you see this little icon that says top rated plus. Customers know that means eBay is endorsing this seller. And then on the bottom photo here, on the right side, it says shop with confidence, top rated seller. That's kind of eBay's endorsement for this seller, saying this is a seller you can trust to give you a good quality product and ship it on time, and it'll be at your house on time. It's a great program, doesn't cost anything. You just have to meet the requirements to enter it. So those programs and policies, they are really important to understand how they work and what they impact on your business specifically, because eBay can make a change and post it in the seller updates, and 2 weeks later it rolls out, and you could see it impacting your sales if you're not staying on top of it. So we're going to talk briefly about the customer journey on eBay. This is so you get an idea of how eBay listing optimization works and what you can control and what you can't control. In general, when a customer comes to eBay, they go to ebay.com or ebayco.uk or any of the other international sites. They'll search for a specific keyword phrase. They'll get the search results, which shows them 30 or 40 products based on the rankings and the price and a bunch of other points. And then they'll start clicking onto them whichever ones they find the most appealing. And then from there, they start making their purchase decision. As sellers, we don't really have direct control over any of this because this is all controlled by a bot and by customer behavior. So what we do is we actually have to kind of influence eBay's bot and customer behavior on eBay. So that's kind of what this diagram shows. It's a little bit confusing, but we can influence customer search behavior by branding. So if you have a private label brand, this is a big deal for you. You want people searching for your brand name, not a generic product name. To show up in the search results, that is entirely based around listing optimization and convincing the eBay bot that your product is good. To get customers to click onto a product from the search results, that is all about making your listing appealing to people when they see the search results. And the final part of this formula, which not many people are aware of, is that when you get sales on eBay, that actually has kind of an underlying mechanic which boosts everything else in your account. So if you have a very high sell-through rate, which is the percentage of people who look at your listing compared to the percentage of people who buy your listing, compared to other eBay sellers, you actually get a boost in your rankings. So creating visually appealing listings with the right price, the right information, everything that's perfect, and you get people buying them more and more, you'll actually get more sales or rankings on eBay because eBay sees that you're generating a better sales throughput than other sellers are. So we've already talked about this briefly. So the branding, the ranking, the appeal, and the sales. These are the 4 things that we can control. As an eBay seller, it's your job to do the following 3 things. You want to make your listings visually appealing. The reason for that is you'll get a higher sell-through rate. That increases your overall metrics on your account. It makes eBay happier with you, makes you eligible for the Power Seller and the Top Rated Seller program. You want to make your listings competitive. The reason for that is that if you don't, eBay will give you lower rankings essentially. So if you have a terrible photo on your listing, eBay will give you a terrible ranking on your listing compared to everyone else. Or if the title is very obscured or it doesn't give you a lot of detailed information or anything like that, you want to make sure that you're giving a really optimized listing that works for the bot, which is eBay's system, and customers. So it's a bit of a balancing act. And then the third element here is increasing brand awareness. That is strictly for private label and brand owners. It's a big business doing that for branding. So I'm not going to cover too much on it because it only applies to a certain niche of eBay sellers. But basically, you're trying to get more people to search for your brand as opposed to specific product names. Now, as an eBay seller, there's 3 things you really don't want to be doing as well. The first is you don't want to make your listings what I call visual monstrosities. These are listings that are ugly, not readable, they're not clear on what you're selling or anything. The reason for this is people will see your listing, they're not going to bother clicking on it, which means you're not going to get sales. You also want to make sure your listings are not uncompetitive, so you don't want to be priced 10 times higher than everyone else that's selling the same product you are. Simply put, you're not going to rank. So if you are selling, let's say, I don't know, some old table that you found in an antique store for $300, but somebody else is selling a very similar table, same kind of quality for half your price, they are going to beat you in the rankings. eBay is very price centric with their bots, and that's one of the biggest ranking factors that they take into account. So pricing competitively is a big issue. The last thing that you really don't want to do is violate any of the eBay policies. That's why I was touching on the eBay seller updates, because eBay just kind of assumes you see these seller updates, which can be a bit frustrating at times. A good example of this was back in the fall with the simplified returns policy they pushed out. eBay actually started requiring everyone to offer an international return policy on every single listing, even if you didn't offer international shipping. So that's a bit of a shock to people. So if you are brand new to selling on eBay and you're trying to create a listing, eBay will actually say, no, you can't list this because you didn't put an international return policy. It doesn't matter if you actually said you'll ship outside the country or not. They say they still want this policy on your listing. It's a little backwards, but things like that happen all the time, and you want to stay on top of them. So a couple best practices for selling on eBay, specifically for your listings. Every field on eBay affects your sales. So when you create a listing on eBay, you have the title, you have the price, you have the description, the quantity, the photos. Those are the main listings. And then there's like the subtitle, the category, your eBay store category. Those impact things too. But people often overlook the other fields that eBay makes available. Most common one is item specifics. So color, brand, things like that. People frequently do not use these on eBay, and then they don't see as many sales as they're expecting, or they don't see as many sales as they used to when they were using the item specifics. It makes a huge difference. When eBay is ranking listings, they look for keywords and they look for positive metrics in your account, and they look for how competitive your listing is compared to everyone else selling similar products. Those are the three things. So keywords, sales metrics, and competitiveness. If you get on top of these, you can rank really, really well. And as long as the listing is visually appealing, then customers are going to want to click on it and buy it. So it does take a balancing act. So when a customer is looking at a listing, they're looking for really clear, concise photos. They're looking for a title with some details. Usually, customers will search for specific technical elements on a listing. They want to see all kinds of good stuff. So this listing is a really good example. It's got a nice mix of keywords: air conditioner, ductless AC. It's got the technical stats on it, so the BTU and the voltage, and which makes it perfect for eBay's ranking bot because you got keywords that are related to the specific type of product as well as the technical information. And it's also very easy for a customer to read. The photo is also perfect on this. So this is a really optimized listing. These guys, this particular seller makes a massive amount of money on eBay. I was looking them up earlier. If we look into the details of this listing, they have 4 high resolution photos. So when you click onto this listing, you'll see on the left side here their main photo, and then there's a couple others underneath it. You can hover your mouse over it, and the picture fills up the entire screen. That's what happens when you use a high res photo as opposed to a 500 by 500 pixel photo, and it's highly recommended you do this. They also offer free shipping. They are a power seller. They've got lots of sales history and favorable reviews, and they offer eBay's multi-buy program, which is like buy two, get I don't know, it looks like $15 off. So these guys are doing really well, and you can see that they have sold 1,600 of these air conditioning units at $650 a pop. That is a lot of money for one listing on eBay. Other things that they've done right on this listing is they filled in every single item specific field that eBay makes possible for air conditioners. This is what it looks like when you do it properly. So you want to make sure you have all of this information in there. Even if you think a field is completely unnecessary, put the information in anyways. It will make a huge difference. I have seen sellers that refused to really use a lot of the item specific fields in the past, and then they would start using them after I talked to them, and they would see their sales go up by 30 or 40% overnight. It makes a huge difference to use the item specifics. And then for the item description itself, you want it to be visually appealing. You want it to show good quality information, and it needs to be a mix of sales, marketing, and technical information. So these guys that are selling these air conditioners did a perfect job. They've got nice photos. They've got their contact information, which, I mean, you're not supposed to put that in, but it has a whole bunch of technical information. It shows what's included in it. Like everything you want to know about this product is here. The customer doesn't have to ask you anything. It's all on this one page, either in the item details, the photos, or on the listing information. Now, these guys, as I said, have sold over 1,600 units of this one air conditioner at $650 per unit. They've basically done over $1 million revenue off this one eBay listing. That is amazing. And this isn't their only product. They have a whole bunch. These are probably one of the bigger sellers on eBay right now. They are making money left, right, and center. So they're a really good example to look at for how to optimize your listings. A couple of best practices that I've already touched on briefly. Use every item specific field. If you sell on eBay Motors at all, use compatibility charts. I know they can be a bit of a pain in the butt to use sometimes, but it makes a massive difference for selling any kind of cars or auto parts or accessories. You want to go way above and beyond eBay's minimum requirements. especially with images. So eBay requires all product photos to be a minimum of 500 by 500 pixels. Don't just go to the minimum. They don't look good. On a desktop computer, if someone's looking at your listing and they click on a 500 by 500 pixel image, it is not high quality. It'll look terrible. So you want to have about a 2000 by 2000 pixel images if possible. That's about what you can take on your smartphone, or if you have a professional camera, that's even better. You want to provide as much detail as possible in the item description, even if the title says what it is. I have seen numerous times in the past on eBay where people put what you see is what you get. And what that implies is what you see in the photos is what you get. It is not very helpful. It does not tell people exactly what's in there. It doesn't give them any more information aside from the photos. Never do that. The titles, you should have the brand, the model, and any high volume keywords and any technical information. So just like we saw with the air conditioner above, you want to make sure that for electronics products, you put in the voltage or the BTUs or anything technical like that because it makes a big difference. If somebody is searching for an air conditioner, they want to know how much voltage it's going to draw from their circuit breaker so they don't blow their fuses. You want to offer multiple shipping options and ideally use the global shipping program. If you don't want to handle the international shipping component yourself, let eBay deal with it for you. They're happy to do it and it doesn't cost you anything extra. The last best practice I'm going to give you is offer 30 to 60-day return policies with seller paid return shipping. By default, it is buyer paid return shipping. So if a customer from Germany buys your product and it ships from the United States, the customer has to pay a whole bunch of money to ship that product back to you to return it. eBay is now starting to push towards seller paid return shipping, and I suggest you just start doing that on your account so you don't have to worry about them forcing it on everyone in the future, because I could see that coming in the next year maybe. Excuse me. I'm going to give you a couple examples of good and bad listings, and then we'll go into a few other topics before we wrap this up. So here's a few examples of optimized listings, which will rank well, people will click on them, and people will buy them. Here's our first one. It's an ink cartridge. I actually have this specific printer, the IP4200, and I'm always buying the cartridges off eBay, because if I go to Staples, which is our local supplier, it costs me $65 to replace the cartridges, whereas on eBay it costs me $10. So when I search for this ink cartridge, the title says exactly what it is. It shows the exact models that these cartridges will work for, and it says it's OEM, which basically means unbranded. So I don't care if I get a branded cartridge or not. I care that my printer works. The photo is really sharp. It's clear exactly what you're going to get, and the price is perfect. As I said, this thing costs $60 to $70 to buy. That's where I am located for this exact item. So it makes a huge difference. And they offer free shipping, which is really nice. Here's another example. I have a 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan, and not too long ago, the sliding door on one side of it has now started making this terrible screeching noise with the power locks activate. Apparently, this is caused by an actuator failing in the door. When I took it to my local dealership, they told me the part cost $600 and the labor will cost another $800. This is the part. I can get it on eBay for $100. It tells me very clearly which makes and models that this specific door actuator works for, 2008 to 2019. And because I have eBay set up with the garage profile, it'll even say, yes, it does fit your specific vehicle. So the title is really clear. What I would suggest to this seller is remove the brand name off of the photo, because you're not really supposed to do that. And the background, the wood background, I would change it to white if possible. It just looks a little bit more professional. But these guys are doing very well. You can see they have sold 84 of these, which is pretty cool for a very tiny car part. Sorry, folks. My internet cut out briefly. I hope we are back online here. One moment. Let me just get my screen share back online. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. I hope you can hear me. Hold on one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Something is going on here. Okay, I think we are back. Can everybody hear me? You should be able to hear me now. Someone could type in the chat box that we're back online. Okay, thank you. My apologies. So I do see a bunch of people typing in the chat. I will be answering your questions in there in about 10 minutes. I'm just going to get through the rest of the presentation quickly. I'll try and get through it really fast, and then we'll go through it. My apologies for the video cutting out. I've got it fixed now. So we're going to go through this really quickly, and then I'll try and get to all your questions in the live chat. A couple bad examples. I'm just going to go through these really fast. This is a really good example of what I would consider a very terrible listing. Look at the photo on this. It is really weird. You can't actually tell what you're bidding or buying. So totally not a good idea. The title is okay, I guess, but the photo really sucks. So always use a good quality photo. Another not so great example is the photo here is a little bit fuzzy. It's kind of hard to do photos with white products and dark backgrounds, but it's the best we can do. Hold on 1 second. The title also needs a lot of work on this one. There's only 4 words in here. For a blanket, you want to put what the material is. They did put microplush, but microplush is actually made up of a couple different types of products. They didn't put what the dimensions are of the product or anything like that. So it's a really good idea to kind of put that information in here. And the last one I'm going to show quickly here is this was a really funny one. I was laughing when I found this. So the listing itself actually looks really nice. They've got good quality photos. They've got lots of detail in the description. The problem is, for this listing, I searched for toys. That is not a toy. That is a stainless steel cookware set. The reason this is showing up in the rankings is because they put toys and children in the title. eBay will actually ban you if they catch you doing this very often, especially if people start complaining. Never do this. It will be the quickest way to lose your eBay account. So we've been going for 40 minutes, so I think what we'll do is I'm going to quickly go through building a listing, and then I'll try and answer a couple questions before we sign off for the day. So I want to say that I'm going to sell this scratching post on eBay. I have a bunch of information on it. I've got some great photos. So how do I build a listing? First of all, what I want to do is figure out which keywords are going to make the most money on eBay. The way to do this is with inkFrog's new analytics platform. What you can do is go in here, you can search for product keywords such as cat tree, and you can see exactly what listings have sold in the last 30 days, how much they sold for, and how many units that particular seller sold. So it's a great way of zooming in and seeing what is the potential sales volume here if your product ranks well. If I go into the top seller in inkFrog Analytics, we can see their daily sales information over the last 30 days, their different price points that they tried, and all this stuff. So we can see that this guy sold this particular cat scratch stand for $45.99 was their best price in terms of volume. But they did go as high as $89.97, and they also went down to $27.99. If I look at the second seller, which is shown right below, they kept it at one price for $59.99, and they had continual sales. They didn't sell as much as the top seller, but they sold 100 units of a scratching post for that keyword. So inkFrog Analytics is really good at giving us detailed information on good keywords that you can use to put in your listings that people are searching for and actually buying from. When I was doing the research with inkFrog Analytics, I pulled out a couple main keywords of cat tree, scratch post, scratch stand. Those seem to be the big ones. We also wanted to put some item specifics into it. So it was a 52-inch high scratch stand, what the brand was. And this gave me a potential title of Cat Lover 52-inch cat tree / scratch post multi-level scratch stand for your cat. It's a little bit keyword stuffy, so it could use some work, but it has the brand name, it has the item specific of the height, it has 3 main keywords in it, and it has one of the features of the scratching post. So that is really well done. They could probably use some more work, but that's what I was trying to do for this webinar. I got 4 photos. They're all high res. They go way beyond the 500 by 500 pixels. One of them, it shows technical measurements. One of them shows some features. So it was pretty easy for me to do this. It just took a little bit of time. I put together the item description based off of the keywords and some details that I got from another seller. So I was looking at what other people were putting on their item descriptions and using that as a base and then building it out from there. Once I had all this information, I put it all into inkFrog so we could see the title, the detailed description, the photos, everything is there. And we created the listing. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but for something that I spent 5 minutes on, it was great. Now, the item details look a little plain at first, which is why we have inkFrog Designer, and I highly recommend you use this. With about 2 minutes of working with inkFrog Designer, I was able to make it look like this. So that was me starting a brand new template from scratch with inkFrog and just playing around with the different settings in the fields. There is so much you can do with inkFrog Designer. I am not a designer by trade. I suck at it. But we have designers in-house which create really nice eBay listings. And here's an example of one. This is a customer who is using inkFrog Designer for their listings. They are an 8-figure eBay seller, I believe, at this point every year now. They are doing a massive amount of sales on eBay, and we did their eBay listing template for them. Okay, I'm going to go through some questions and answers here. The chat log, it looks like there's quite a few questions in here. I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as I can because we've only got a few minutes left. So, a net fund. So many changes on the horizon with eBay. It seems like they want us to manage our auctions within eBay rather than through inkFrog. Not sure how this is going to work. That's not actually true, Annette. We've worked closely with eBay and several other companies in this space. We are a partner with eBay, and they love us. We have a whole bunch of agreements in place with them. They know that people love using inkFrog, just like they like using other programs in the marketplace. From eBay's point of view, they like that people develop these tools because then they can devote less resources to developing them and more resources on their sales and marketing side of things. So it's kind of a win-win scenario for them. Am I going to give information on inkFrog Analytics? I showed it a little bit in this webinar, but basically what we do is we pull sales data from eBay so you can create some reports and see how much an item is selling for, at what price points, who's selling it, how much they sold in the last month. inkFrog Analytics, you can try it free for 14 days in your account. You just click on Analytics in the left menu. It does not automatically bill onto your account after that trial expires. You have to actually go and subscribe to it after the free trial. So if you haven't activated in your account, give it a shot. Just click on Analytics in the left side of your account. Does eBay global shipping policy apply for a Canada-based seller? Leo, sorry, I don't want to ruin your last name here, Leo. It does not. However, there are workarounds for this. When I was really going crazy with my own eBay business, I actually did tap into the GSP program from Canada. The way you do it is you need to get your package across the border. And I can show you how to do that. If you want to email me directly, clittle@inkfrog.com, I'll show you how you can do it, depending on where you're located. There's lots of ways. There's companies all over Canada that specialize in this type of service. Michelle, in regards to templates, we said that using a template increases sale. So can you provide a study report that shows these results? There's actually one of our competitors put together a beautiful study on exactly this issue. And it wasn't just their templates specifically. They looked at all templates across various vendors as well as people that created their own. You just have to find this report. I don't want to say their name out loud because they are a competitor of ours, but there is a report that circulates around the industry for this. If you want to email me directly at clittle@inkfrog.com, I'd be happy to send you the link to it. Let's see. Just checking any last few minutes questions here. Jim, is eBay going to ban sellers who sell on eBay and fulfill by FBA? No, they will not ban them. They actually are perfectly okay with that. And that's what a lot of people do. What you can't do is use FBA to fulfill Walmart orders if you happen to sell in the Walmart marketplace, because Walmart does not want Amazon branded boxes being delivered to the customers. eBay doesn't care. And can I use Amazon FBA for the global shipping program? That is a good question, and I want to say the answer is yes. FBA, they will only ship within the country that the item originates in. So if you are using FBA in the United States, you should, in theory, be able to use that to ship products to the GSP warehouses in the States to ship internationally. I've never tried that, but I don't see why you couldn't. Michelle, those pots and pans were children's size pots and pans. That's why. Oh, maybe that was it. Okay. I did not notice that when I was looking at it. They actually looked like real cookware sets to me. So good for pointing that out. Also, Michelle, quite a few questions here from Michelle. Any plans to API with Poshmark? Not at this time. Poshmark, Etsy, and there's a few other marketplaces, Mercari. We've had a lot of requests for these, and our management team is aware that people want this information. We are trying to figure out agreements with some of these companies. I can't say which ones at this point, but I can say that a few things are in motion to try and expand to other marketplaces. Are there any, can you briefly tell us about some of the upcoming changes products? There is right now some integration work being developed with Amazon so that we can push listings to Amazon. Now, this is not going to be released anytime in the near future. It's most likely a few months out at this point. There are 2 marketplaces that we have been talking with outside of the ones that we already connect to as well, but that's pending an agreement being solidified. There's a whole bunch of work being put towards the Shopify and BigCommerce integrations we have right now. I can't really give a lot of details, but new features are coming out for them. So there's a lot of expansion coming out for what inkFrog can do with where we connect already, and we're trying to add some new things, new places that we don't connect to already. So I've been talking for 50 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. That looks like that's all the questions. So I'm going to wish you all the best, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching.